Now, 2024, I think we can all agree it was a dumb ass year. There was so much stupid shit happening last year. And now that we can put it behind us, let's take a look and see why last year it was so goddamn dumb. And let's see what happened. Let's take a look at what's happened.
2024 has been an eventful year to say the least. From elections, assassinations and war to high-profile arrests, acquittals and breakdancing.
There was so much happening, I forgot about the assassination.
2024 has had it all. So let's explore these big events and worldwide trends that define the past year, starting all the way back in January. While 2024 might have proven the old adage that change is only constant, when it first began, everything seemed like it might stay the same. While 2022 and 2023 had seen new wars erupt, going into 2024, people weren't holding their breath waiting for peace. Lots of the old conflicts from previous years kept marching on. A year later, and the front line in Ukraine has barely moved, while the West Bank and Gaza Strip are still engulfed in conflict. The numerous lesser well-known civil wars across the world, like in Myanmar, faded into the background for everyone they didn't affect. The outlook for politics at the start of 2024 was different though. With elections scheduled across the world, including the UK, France and the US, everyone knew that there was a lot of potential for change. Taiwan was the first major country in line in what would become a rare event this year. Their incumbent Democratic Progressive Party won the presidency with over 40% of the vote. And this wasn't a complete victory though, with the DPP losing their majority in the Taiwanese parliament. Looking back on it now at how incumbents have fared throughout the year, they ought to be happy they didn't lose much more. This result could have had major implications for the future and China's increased aggression against the island nation. And while Taiwan was wrapping up their election, the US political machine was still getting started. In February, Biden won his bid to stand for re-election in the Democratic primaries, facing very little opposition to his ticket. This was despite clear health concerns, of course. Even though the media denied it, everyone could see it. In January, a prominent professor gave Biden a 75% chance of living through a second term. A month later, in the special...
I mean, so listen, I'm not American, but like, am I the only one that noticed that once Joe decided, you know what, I'm not running next year, let Kamala do it, he started speaking much clearer, he started joking around, he seemed like way better than while he was running. Like, I don't know what the fuck was going on there.
Council investigating his use of classified documents described Biden
like, it's either he was like really stressed and took like a little bit break and then managed to relax, or like he was fucking her. I don't know what's going on, but like he started really he was acting up during the campaign, and as soon as he dipped out, he was like completely fine.
Much less favorable terms. While he found no wrongdoing on Biden's part, he did conclude that Biden had significant memory issues and limitations. And this was just one warning sign amongst thousands, but they all seemed to fall on deaf ears. Even at this point in the year, many Democrats felt it was too late to change candidates and impossible to convince Biden to step aside. Meanwhile, Germany became one of the first countries in the EU to legalize cannabis possession and use. While the country has been de facto legal in countries like the Netherlands for decades, Germany became the first major economy in the bloc to write it into their law. While legislation could potentially bring in billions in tax revenue and cannabis is almost certainly less harmful than other legal drugs like alcohol, it still had its critics who wondered what the proliferation of the drug might do to Germany as a whole.
I think it should be legal for medical use. Like, I watched this show, like, and it makes sense. Like, you know, like people that go through cancer treatments, or just generally a lot of situation where they're feeling really bad. Like, I don't think personally, and a lot of people might disagree and think you should do any drugs. Why is this drug not allowed while people can buy alcohol? I mean, like, personally, I think like there's a lot of arguments to both sides on this, but I think cannabis should only be legal for people that need it for medical use. Like, if you're going through a procedure or something like that and it will help you, just maintain that and relax and get more sleep, because it lessens the pain you're feeling overall. And there's it's used in a lot of medicine. It's used in a couple types of medicines as well. So it has this medical assistance. So I don't see why it should just be legal everywhere for medical uses.
Depending how it all goes over for the next few
years.
Yeah,
it smells like shit, like disgusting toes. I agree. Cannabis smell like ass.
This could be the start of a wave of legislation across the continent. In March in the UK, the government blocked the sale of the Telegraph Group, one of the major newspaper companies, to a UAE-led business consortium. It came as a
Interesting.
shock considering the UK has sold pretty much everything of value over the past few decades. Whether it's luxury properties and land rights in the capital, huge estates and tracts of land in the countryside, or even the biggest sports teams and leagues. The UAE and other foreign
McLaren?
interests have bought up all of the UK, but the UK government decided to finally draw the line at newspapers and the media, although how long this will last remains to be seen. In April, we then saw another big election for the world, this time in South Korea. The country operates
Man, South Korea has gone through a lot. Do you guys know what happened with South Korea? Man, South Korea this year, I'm actually in shock. I'm a little bit in shock.
a system similar to the US, with parliamentary and presidential elections separated by years. The winner of the previous election was hoping to gain a majority in parliament. So far, with a powerful opposition party in control of the National Assembly, he'd been unable to truly govern. Unfortunately for him, his party failed to achieve a majority, seemingly sealing his fate as a placeholder president. A week later, in India has also had an election with nearly 1 billion people registered to vote. And while Modi's ruling party lost some seats in parliament and the opposition to his rule got a lot more organized, he still remained in almost complete control of the country. The ongoing proxy war in the Middle East was also heating up in April as well, with Iran and Israel directly launching missiles and drone strikes at each other. While Iran's attempts rarely got through Israel's air defenses, Israel was able to effectively strike Iran at will. It compounded with their other victories.
I hate seeing these things because this is just politicians like arguing, and it hurts civilians. It never goes to war like the individuals that are dealing with this. It's always the people that have nothing to do with this.
Against Hezbollah and Hamas, both organizations funded and armed by Iran, but it also led to a mass wave of hatred towards Israel. But of course, for most people, it wasn't just the election and wars that defined this year. For many in the video games industry, 2024 was just the continuation of a collapse that had started a year earlier. Plummeting sales, mediocre games, and a lack of easy investment has led to a wave of cutbacks and redundancies across the industry.
That is because of overhiring in COVID. Like, if you don't know, like, a lot of people were stay at home, and there was a lot of industry, a lot of the businesses were overhiring during COVID because they thought they needed that extra manpower, and it seemed like it was benefit during that time. But once COVID ended, it started to become a loss, and they had no reason for it. So layoff is normal in everything. Like, I think most like tech companies nowadays, game company, I think most have been laying off people nowadays. And generally, like, gaming as well have had like some kind of bullshit with different opinions about like esports and stuff like that. Because apparently now I think there's like some Arabic country managing it, like esport, like a big esport events nowadays, and a lot of players are like not liking it. I don't know.
In April, the company Epic Games, who have been lousy with their money ever since Fortnite took off, also announced hundreds more layoffs.
I mean, they make so much money. Like, Epic Games makes so much fucking money, it doesn't matter anymore. Like, it actually doesn't. They have infinite money. Like, and you think they have it, like, Fortnite makes them a fuck ton of money, but you know what else makes their money? Their goddamn game engine.
Company that's been giving out games
Everybody's
for free
using
for
it
years,
now,
trying to buy out Steam's dominant market share. So to see them laying off their staff made people realize that the games industry was far more bloated than anyone had realized.
It is.
Although in an industry with such a bad record of treating its workers, in lots of ways, it was all still business as usual. There were still some glimmers of hope and beauty throughout it all.
And you know what's funny is that I think that gaming industry is bloated, but you know what I don't think is bloated is the industry when it comes to movies and series. I think that they're spending too much money on specific actors and stuff like that instead of paying for better writers or talents. Like, I've noticed it. You know, like, what is it called again? The bald dude, the bald beef. The what is it called again? Y'all know the muscle guy. You know what I'm talking. Apparently, no Asmund. No, he's no muscle. There's no muscle in Asmund. It doesn't. Dwayne Johnson, exactly. Apparently, Dwayne fucking Johnson is minimum 30 million to just hire him for a movie. 30 million for Dwayne Johnson? No, I like Dwayne. I like his older movies more because it seems more a charm, but he's always playing himself. I see no way I've not seen a recent movie that is good with Dwayne Johnson. The Rock. Yeah, I love The Rock. I love Dwayne. I love by the way, he did like a show about his past life. I recommend that series. Very good series. I liked it a lot. Great actors in it. It was a great show. I thought his story was interesting. But like paying that much money for an actor is insane. And they're not putting enough money into the people that can work around it instead to make something interesting. There's barely any interesting movies or show nowadays. Like, I don't know how y'all are feeling, but I've been looking more at old stuff. I watched all of Dexter like this year. Like, I'm watching some shows recommended by friends that are old, and I'm seeing some shows that are old. Like, I'm not watching new shit anymore. Like, definitely that type of media is not bloated. It's lacking. It's very much lacking because they're wasting their money on bullshit.
Was the total solar eclipse seen across North America. When the next one occurs,
I started binge watching Dexter this week, and it's been pretty good, bro. You will love it. Dexter is so good. But I will tell you right now, season 1 is the best one in my opinion, but season 1 to 6 are, so 1 to 4 is great, the best ones, and then 5 to 6 is great, and then it kind of like, I don't know what, it depends on what you feel. I liked all of it. I liked most of it. I did not like the sequel. There's a sequel to it called True Blood. I did not enjoy it. I did not. It didn't feel. It felt that moment like Dexter, but then just lost this whole thing. I feel like the reason for that, by the way, is exactly what I talked about just now. It's because of the. I think there's too many standards in media. I think there's too many checklists everybody has to follow, and there's not enough talents being hired for for production of shows. So they're losing that good charm and not taking those risks things used to take in 2000 and early 2010s.
2044, we can only hope it darkens the skies of a world
Why
of
Women
peace.
Kills? I
Then
don't know
moving
about
into
that one. Is
May,
it good?
things got even
What's it
worse
about?
for Iran when its president and foreign minister were both killed in a helicopter crash,
Oh my
attempting to
God.
fly over a mountain
that was
range
crazy.
during a
I
massive
was scared when I heard this. I thought there was going to be war. Like, I unironically thought it was going to be war.
storm doomed both the vehicle and any chances of a rescue once they went down. And this was especially damaging to the Iranian government's future, as the prime minister had been slated to replace the supreme leader once he stepped down. And now they've been forced to reshuffle and come up with some new options. But May also saw Trump getting found guilty in his hush money trial. While Democrats protested that this was in fact a legitimate investigation into wrongdoing, the rest of the country argued that this was just a politically motivated way for the Democrats to smear and attack the former president, completely stopping him in his tracks and ruining any chances of him becoming president. Whether or not they said it though, most people knew that nothing would happen until after the election. That would be the only real factor in whether he would see actual consequences or not. Then in June, Assange was finally freed after years and years of uncertainty and embassy squatting. The plea deal they agreed saw Assange finally allowed to leave the UK for his native Australia, in a win against the forces of censorship. But as of this video, the situation for Snowden is still very bleak. But in possibly the biggest event of the year though, an interview with a random woman went viral, launching the career.
I think the way Hawk Tua dragged that meme is very impressive. Like, we all are tired of it, all right? We're all tired of Hawk Tua spit on that thing. We're tired of it. But we have to agree, I have never seen a meme been demonetized and dragged for so long. This meme has survived way past its lifespan.
Of Hawk Tua girl. Her subsequent career would become emblematic of a social media hype machine gone completely insane.
Oh my
From
God.
just one viral moment, she capitalized as much as possible, launching her own podcast like everyone else does now, and doing everything she
It's #1 podcast, by the way, in America, by the way. Her podcast is #1. Isn't that crazy?
could to stay in the public eye. And she was just the tip of the iceberg of a huge wave of people, doing everything they could to get their 5 minutes of fame. And from that fame, either doing a rug pull with a cryptocurrency or creating yet another generic podcast. If you've ever run your own business, you'll know how much of a pain it is to have all these different applications, all the costs that go into this, and all the research you have to do to find the right applications for your business. Which is why I want to tell you about Odoo. Odoo is the all-in-one management software that simplifies business operations for entrepreneurs. With applications for invoicing, accounting, project management, inventory, website creation, and more, Odoo streamlines every aspect of day-to-day management. And your first application is free for life, including hosting and support. And you can also upgrade to a paid plan when you add a second application. A really great feature with Odoo is their project application that offers a flexible, comprehensive project management solution designed to help businesses stay organized, track progress, and collaborate with your team members effectively.
Is
with
this
Odoo
just
Project,
Slack, but you gotta
effortlessly manage
pay?
tasks, deadlines, budgets, and resources all in one place, allowing you to stay organized with a comprehensive view of your projects. Odoo's detailed dashboard
It
allows
literally
you to
stole
customize
Slack's
stages and
UI
access
even.
multiple views tailored to your needs. The Kanban view organizes tasks by stage, where you can drag and drop tasks like sticky notes to keep your pipeline well organized. Then there's the Gantt view that provides a timeline overview of tasks, dependencies, and scheduled dates. And the list view displays essential data and enables batch actions, making it simple yet powerful. And you can navigate all project-related documents seamlessly using built-in actions in the control panel, allowing you to save and share custom views with your team for instant access to the data that matters most. If you're an entrepreneur, this is huge for your productivity, as you can streamline everything with advanced task features like
I think it's ballsy to make something like this when Slack is so universally known. Like, you have every single feature as Slack. Why put investment trying to steal money like this? I wonder if they'll even. I wonder if they're surviving on investments or what's going on. Like, what is this tool doing different than Slack?
Recurring tasks, and dependencies, whilst at the same time you can also schedule activities, whether to-dos, calls, or meetings, and set reminders all synchronized with your calendar. Odoo makes tracking progress effortless. With the timesheets application, employees can also record time spent on tasks in real time, and you can use all of this data to track costs, manage budgets, evaluate team performance, and even invoice clients for hours worked, meaning you can stay connected with your team using Odoo's real-time collaboration tools. And with their built-in chatter feature that lets you send emails, add notes, or attach files directly to tasks, you're able to centralize all information in one place to improve efficiency and communication. I highly recommend Odoo, so check them out with the link in the description below or use the pinned comment down below to get started today with your first app for free.
Oh, dude.
Disney then saw their worst failure in a year of disappointments when the Acolyte released awful reviews and terrible viewership.
Bro, this shit was the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Listen, I have not watched this. All I saw was a girl trying to put out a fire outside of her spaceship in space. Fire in space, everybody. Fire in space. I just like, you know what? This shit is dumb. This shit is real dumb. Fucking space, man. A burning spaceship in space. Yeah.
For many fans, it came as a final
Bro, whoever wrote that gotta go back to school and learn how fire is produced.
nail in the coffin for Disney's Star Wars and the general treatment of their franchises. While the rest of the year would see some success for Disney,
That's revolutionary, Addy. It would
Pixar
be.
and Deadpool's enduring popularity prevented a complete disaster later on in the year, of course. But their habit of grinding their properties into dust did seem to finally catch up to them in 2024, and was a final wake-up call for the studios. The US election was also heating up again with their first presidential debate. With nowhere to hide, Biden's health problems and faltering speech were now on full display to the public, and all Trump had to do was watch as his opposition crumbled right in front of him.
And I'm going to continue to move until we get the total ban on the total.
Like, again, I love this fucking comedy. But again, like, this guy, bro, he was like completely gone. He was gone during these one. As soon as he fucking dipped out, he was completely fine.
Initiative relative to what we're going to do with more border patrol and more
what is he saying?
officers.
Even with such a dismal performance, it still took nearly a month for Biden to actually sit down and let Kamala take over the ticket. By then though, it was already far too late to make a difference on the final result. While people's eyes
Kamala only had a few months. Like, people went to the voting booths, and you know what was the number one search regarding politics on the day of voting in America? Did Biden drop out? Over half of America had no idea that Kamala took his place. They didn't even know where Biden was. They had to write his name behind the voting pamphlet. They didn't know what the fuck was going on.
was sadly on America's election cycle throughout the year. July saw both France and the UK reach the end of theirs. First, in the tail end of June, France went to the polls for the first time, with a second election held shortly after to finalise the results. It wasn't an election that legally had to happen. Macron could have technically waited years for the next one, but politically he had to act, and the people of France grew their hatred towards the establishment. Earlier on in the year, right-wing candidates pretty much swept the EU's parliamentary elections. Macron's long-term presidential rival Marine Le Pen gained a massive amount of power, and Macron had to shore up his position in response. In the end though, the results weren't really to anyone's liking. Yet again, France had a hung parliament, and Macron's centrist party lost even more power while both the left and the right gained support. An election that just just showed how much division and hatred there is in France between both parties. And an election that was meant to solve France's political stability ended up making things even more polarized. It wasn't an arrangement that would last for long. At pretty much the same time, the UK was also staring down the barrel of another election.
A lot of
After well over a
politics in
decade
this
in
video.
power, the Conservative Party had run through every
I thought it
possible
would be
leader
more
it could
mean.
offer,
Where's
and they
Diddy?
ended up with nobody's favourite or anyone's elected choice, Rishi Sunak. Keir Starmer as leader of the opposition barely had to do anything. Everyone expected a landslide purely based on how tired people were of their current government. And when the results finally came through in early July, it was even worse than most people had thought for the Conservatives. Labour won a huge amount of seats in Parliament, giving them an overwhelming majority. But under the surface, they didn't actually win that many votes. People just wanted change because of the UK's first past the post system, meaning Labour won nearly 2/3 of Parliament with only just 1/3 of the total votes. Meanwhile, Reform UK had massively damaged the Conservatives by taking nearly 15% of the total vote and getting themselves a few seats in Parliament. But while their footprint in Westminster is small right now, they could easily grow to replace the Conservatives as the UK's main right-wing political party, with even the backing of Elon Musk, making it clear that no matter the country, everybody wants change. With terrible economies, growing crime, and growing instability throughout the West, it's clear why so many drastic changes have happened this year. July also saw an event that should have had a much more lasting impact in the news, but almost faded away with everything else that happened in the year. And
There was just so much this year. Like, I think the assassination on Trump was insane.
his election rallies, an armed gunman climbed up onto a nearby roof and attempted to assassinate Trump. We all saw the footage, the bullet missed by just millimeters. One gust of wind or one
And by the way, this was not even the only time this year. There was another guy that got caught. He was like sitting in a bush waiting. He tried to kill him again.
and a shake of the
It's not the same guy, another guy.
His hand decided the fate of the world in that moment.
Hi, Star.
And
How
who
you
knows
doing?
what could have happened if he hadn't missed. It's fairly certain that
Jesus
America's
Christ.
political tension would
He
have
like turned around, and if he didn't turn around, he would get hit.
boiled over into all-out chaos. And it was a complete disgrace that this happened from a security perspective. But luckily he
Right.
survived. And then as July turned into August, the Olympics started up in Paris and dominated the world's newsfeed for weeks.
I did even not. You know what? I did know the Olympics went on, but I didn't even pay attention to any of it. Did y'all pay attention to the Olympics this year? I didn't pay attention at all.
Recent elections were still fresh in people's minds, and politics immediately found its way into the event. First, there was the shockingly terrible opening ceremony, and its parody of the Last Supper.
Oh, now I remember this. Yeah, I remember this guy and her. Yeah, I remember this. Yeah, TikTok really didn't. Yeah, this is the only thing I've seen of the Olympics. They did like this introduction show, and it was very weird. And I don't know. Like, I think my opinion on this is probably the least. Like, I think it's probably, I don't know.
Which angered the entire world. Then there was China's intervention and the silencing of Taiwan, banning all mention of their country flag and national identity from the Olympics. Russia's exclusion from the event entirely also detracted from the overall competitiveness, in spite of the good reasons for their ban. But even with those things in mind, the quality of the competition and the dedication of the athletes easily shined through. It gave people a welcome break from the political chaos of the past few months, even with all the bogus political virtue signaling that was forced into the event. However, far more people remember Turkey's shooting silver medalist and his lack of equipment than remember the political controversies. In fact, the most negative thing that people remember
Oh, right. There was this Australian dancer that couldn't dance at all, and there's some stupid shit. I don't even know how she got there.
was Australia's amateur breakdancer, which they entered into the newly created Olympic event. Nobody should condone the harassment
Why the fuck is breakdancing in the Olympics? What?
she received, but it's also not wrong to face up to reality and call a spade a spade. September with
No,
them
apparently she dated one of, she was like, her husband was one of the people choosing who goes or something like that. That's why she went.
proved to be an incredibly big month for the music industry, although not in a way that most people
Ooh, Diddy. Timeline of allegation against Sean Diddy comes. You know, like, this is the funny thing is that this won't be the final time we hear about Diddy. Like, his trial is starting in a few months. This is going to be big.
expected. Earlier in the year, Kendrick Lamar and Drake's public feud
Oh my God. Thank God. I hope they still keep on fighting because, I don't know. The songs were good.
brought some deeply disturbing allegations to light. This month would prove though that Drake's alleged crimes were far from an isolated incident. P. Diddy had suddenly come into the news for the story of his depraved parties, the freak-off parties, completely pulling the veil back on how disturbing Hollywood and the music industry really is, especially at the upper echelons of the industry. In March, police had raided the rapper's LA mansion and found a treasure trove of drugs, weapons, and reportedly over 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
And these things you need to keep in mind. Most people in the industry knew this, but they kept it like completely hidden. I think a lot of, you know how people used to have like a look up to celebrities and people in Hollywood and music producers and people in music in general in the past? Like people look up to them like celebrities. But I think nowadays people have definitely, their view on them has definitely gone down. They have less respect for them. They care less for what their opinions are on their meaning and thoughts. Because this shit, like remember when Me Too happened? Like all of that was hidden within and nobody talked about it, but everybody knew. And then you have this Diddy shit. Like if they will hide this kind of stuff, these incidents, why the fuck would I take what their opinion is or their words for anything? Like whenever they're in this kind of position, like what the fuck?
Suddenly, all the people connected with P. Diddy, which was a huge chunk of the American elite, were now shaking in their boots. And the controversy really started when an ex-partner of the musician accused him of using his position in the industry to exploit and abuse her. She described a world of predatory parties, where women would be coerced, drugged, and forced into performing depraved acts. The case was settled out of court the very next day, but it would turn out to be only the tip of a very large iceberg. Over the next few days, more and more allegations added up, eventually leading to the rapper's arrest on the 16th, which we made an entire video on earlier in the year. We could easily see lots more crimes exposed in the industry over the next year, as it seems the top of the celebrity industry has some very disturbing secrets they're desperately trying to hide. A similar veil was also being lifted.
Dude, once all of that comes out, and I hope it does, we're gonna find some interesting thing about Hollywood.
The influencer world, as Mr. Beast, who enjoyed years of interrupted dominance in the YouTube world, suddenly found himself in hot water, as earlier in the year allegations were made accusing him of workplace abuses and shady behind-the-scenes practices.
And you know what's funny?
Especially concerning the issue with one of his friends. While the whole situation is a mess and we don't really know what the truth is here, it would prove to be a turning point in Mr. Beast's reputation online. A reputation that seemed almost indestructible. Whether or not this is legitimate though, that's up to you. But it was clear that people were losing patience in his brand with the release of Lunchly. The Lunchables inspired...
Okay, let's go back. So, this shit right here stays on Twitter and a few Reddit posts. Whenever he posts a video, nobody gave a fuck. You think the average Joe gives a shit about whatever this is about? No. And the guy that made those videos, he has taken down nearly every single video. He has. Because he lied. And he's now facing multiple lawsuits that many lawyers have looked into and really wants to take the case. Because it is clear that it's all bullshit. Because the evidence is even in the video and he contradicts himself. So like most shit, like people are hating on Mr. Beast. Like I've watched one Mr. Beast video. But like I've noticed that a lot of people constantly are hating on him for like, I don't know, fucked up reasons all the time. But he doesn't seem like he's doing anything wrong. So once he had it, like people had a reason to hate on him, they all jumped on the bandwagon. And it seems to me that there's nothing that can fault Mr. Beast besides probably poor business decisions or a wrong, like just, I don't know, early on stages of not knowing what the fuck is going on whenever he started his YouTube. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that just generally, I think he will be fine and he's doing fine. And I feel bad for the guy that tried to push him down because he's going to have some sad luck. He's going to have some sad cases this year. Ooh.
Up to you. But it was clear that people were losing patience in his brand
with
the release of
people. Yeah, I wouldn't say you should collab with Logan Paul personally. Like, I don't give a shit about Logan Paul, but like he has a very weird brand around him.
The Lunchables inspired product was seen by most as a blatant low-quality cash grab designed to dupe his younger audience.
Yeah.
When people bought them, lots of people found they had already gone moldy, and the supposed health benefits they advertised didn't really stand up to closer inspection. Angry responses to criticism from Mr. Beast's business partners Logan Paul and KSI really didn't help the matter.
And it didn't help that KSI was fucking fighting everybody on Twitter 24/7. Like, this guy could not stop Talking about it every day.
Although in the
Every
grand scheme
fucking
of things,
day.
there wasn't really much here compared to everything else. But the next month would bring another influencer crashing down to reality. This time it was Johnny Somali who's abusive for
Ooh, our favorite fucking dumbass. Yeah, Jesus Christ, this year was a clown show. Holy, this year was a clown
of the
show.
world finally came to an end. His general strategy for his streaming career was to go to a foreign country, intentionally abuse and antagonize its people, and then record the often violent results. Typically, his disrespect only earned him travel bans and slaps on the wrist, but that all changed when he was arrested in South Korea on October 26th for desecrating a monument. South Korean officials would later lock in a travel ban, preventing him from leaving the country before his trial in 2025. And if convicted, he might actually face up to 5 years in prison, perhaps even more if he's found guilty of other crimes as well. However, November's biggest event was by far the US election. In the days before it happened, polls and mainstream news organizations insisted that it was a 50-50 toss-up with no clear favorite, even though all the gambling markets said otherwise. And almost everybody knew this wasn't true. And the results obviously spoke for themselves. Trump swept every single swing state, taking the election by storm, being yet another huge monumental change.
Wait, did he say the gambling market said otherwise? I think the gambling market was very focused on Trump winning. I think that if you want to take somebody's opinion about who's winning, I think you should take the ones that are putting their money on the table. Like those people gambling millions of dollars. Like, I think they know exactly what's going to happen, okay?
In the Western political sphere, showing that people were sick to death of the current establishment. In the aftermath, nearly all the legal cases brought against him were thrown out or postponed indefinitely. Even strictly anti-Trump people like Mark Zuckerberg were now almost talking about him positively. Establishment figures from leading journalists to industry magnates nearly all fell in line to secure their place in the new administration. And the consequences of this are too large to know, but only the next 4 years will give us the answer. Hopefully for America though, this will go some way towards mellowing out the political division that's plagued the country for years. But for the rest of the world, there will be a lot of consequences as well. The Ukraine war, which has been raging since 2022, will most likely see an end soon, as Trump's indicated that he's dead set on bringing this to a close at the negotiating table. It's also big for Europe, as December saw France's imbalanced government finally implode and Macron's pick for PM get ousted. And it's really unclear whether Macron will be able to hang on to whatever power he has left, or if Marine Le Pen will swoop in to take advantage of the chaos. Germany's government is all but guaranteed to collapse sooner rather than later, with its snap elections expected early next year. And at the same time, Justin Trudeau has had massive amounts of pressure to step down, with almost all of Canada now hating their prime minister.
Yeah.
Even both Europe and
that is the funny thing is that, and I guess this guy doesn't, I don't know where he's from, but like, he's not adding this, but politics have been a very big hotspot all around the world nowadays. And I know we don't give a fuck about politics. Maybe someone here gives a fuck about politics. He's from Canada. This guy is Canadian, yes. Like Canada has their, I don't know what the fuck their issue with Canada is, but they hate him because I've heard those reasons. Like they're paying a fuck ton of money. Like there's so many bullshit things that are happening in Canada. But like, let's go back here. Like Europe, in other hand, oh boy, there are like in Asia, there's politics issues. In America, there's politics issues, but Europe, I am actually concerned about Europe. And this comes from somebody that is just looking at it, like looking at everything, because I'm looking at every country, okay? But Europe is becoming extremely, I don't know if you know what I'm trying to say here, but Europe is becoming extremely fascist. And I am concerned. I am looking at Germany, I'm looking at England, and I'm looking at Scandinavia. And fascism is in a spike high trend last month. You can't say fascist but xenophobic. Yeah, I don't know. Like what I've seen, I kind of think so, bro. I don't know. Like, man, there's a lot of people are really out there nowadays, and they are not even holding it back. I'll be real with you, and it's concerning. It is concerning, and I think, honestly, it has nothing to do. There's a lot of things that are being complained about, and I don't think many of them have like the reason for it. Some of it is, but like I think like if I look at my own country, brother, there's so much mismanaging with funds and mismanaging with a lot of rule set and changes that are going on, that it's obvious that the average Joe will literally take the easiest way out and look at it as a black and white table, you know? And this is how we end up in this turn. And then you see more people trying to basically use that as a argument tool. May God forgive you, but we want, yeah.
Rather than later, with the snap elections expected early next year. And at the same time, Justin Trudeau has had massive amounts of pressure to step down, with almost all of Canada now hating their prime minister, leaving both Europe and Canada without any strong leaders as Trump comes into power, giving him a very strong position to negotiate.
I think people are tired of complicating issues. I think people are too tired about the lies, about promises that never are put out, overcomplicating issues, wasting money on countries that have nothing to do with yours, while you have a big queue of medical issues and the people, civilians in your own country, waiting months to years to just get assistance until they die because they don't get assistance, and not fixing basic things like basic necessities for a country, and then throwing millions on bullshit and useless things in other countries that have nothing to do with you, while everybody's suffering with inflation and all of the other things, like the basic needs, the basic environment, basic income, like everything is going bad. Dog for president went. I remember when I went to uni, me and my friend always, every time we saw a dog, we were like, we do not deserve those things. Dogs are too great. Anime girl for president when, bro, she would just kill everybody. Listen, if you put an anime girl as a president, what's the chance she's gonna be yandere? She's gonna be like some kind of crazy dictator. She's just gonna kill everybody.
From within the political bloc. 2024 was the year that showed us how much the world is really changing. From the political and geopolitical establishment to people's anger and frustrations. Trust in the entire financial system, our leaders, our culture is at an all-time low. Bitcoin skyrocketing above $100,000 showed this, as people are rejecting the nonsense they have to live through. Which
Bitcoin is going up, but you know, it always has its time.
Made 2024 such a pivotal year for all of us. And one massive piece of news that happened towards the end of this year really bears discussion, of course.
Ooh, the Luigi part, man. Luigi. Yeah, you didn't talk about Luigi. Yeah, this is an interesting one. Like, this is just a clear indication of issues everywhere, though. But yeah, this is a problem.
But as we've already seen, people just mentioning this on YouTube often find themselves demonetized and censored.
Wait, so because I said Luigi now, I'm going to be demonetized? Well, who gives a fuck? United Healthcare is allegedly filing DMCA against Luigi. You're filing DMCA against Luigi? Huh?
However, seeing the response to all of this, and the huge praise online for Luigi, really highlighted the true extent of the changing times we're living through.
I think... I don't know, like I want 2025 to be more relaxing and a little bit more chill compared to 2024, but how things are moving on. Like, I think we're gonna see more people just lose it. Like, we're gonna see politics have a shift. You're gonna see people have enough of things and riot. We're gonna see people that are relaxed and just pop the fuck off. I think we are going through the years of change. I think the 5 next years from now, we're going to see a lot of changes. I doubt it will be like in every, like, I don't know. We'll have to see, but I can honestly tell that most people are having enough. They are, like, everywhere. And definitely in Europe, all of Europe, people are definitely having enough. So we'll see how this goes. There are people that don't care, British old people. I think that the ones that care is the young ones. And I think that whenever you make the young generation care the most, all of the young generation, and understand that they're all starting to have doomer mentality. Like, think about it. Think about it. Like, how? Think about it. We're all young here, right? Or maybe some are I know I have some viewers that have family and are a little bit an older perspective, but like I have a lot of young viewers. Like everybody here is like 18 to 22, right? getting into the world now is fucking weird because we hear about inflation, we see low pay, we hear about all of the situation about having a hard time finding a job, we're hearing about all of these fucking layoffs, and then the housing market is going crazy up. Like, I will just say, once I bought my place, bro, my brain has been turning off. Like, it's been good. But like, these concerns, these worries, like, you look at the world and all of the politics that are going around and all the bullshit happening in the world, and you're gonna lose it. And I think this is taking a wave of like young adults being like, whatever, let's just fucking go. We cannot proceed this way. We cannot go through with like how the world is changing in this direction. We gotta end it. And you're seeing more and more people looking at the wrongs and they're losing it and trying to change it. And I think the more people are viewing it that way, more people are having this doomer mentality and realizing their surroundings. When you change the view of everybody young, I think we're going to see proper changes, because the old ones are not going to change it. They're dying. Like, they're dying soon, right? They're dead in 20 years or 30 years. Who knows? They're dying. It's over. But the young ones are the ones that are taking over. The young ones are the one pushing, and there will always be corrupted people within the young ones. But whenever the wave of everybody has this mindset, what the fuck is going to happen in then? Because I look at some countries, and brother, I don't think I've seen any single one at the age of 18 to 23 looking bright on their future. Like, not bright on their own, like bright on their country's future. Could you say that about your country? I don't know. If you watch this video, tell me down below. I'd like to learn that. Like this video if you enjoyed. Sub to the channel if you liked it. That's a lot of bullshit that happened in 2024. There's a lot. That's a lot of bullshit. I didn't think this would be this politic heavy, but you're right. Last year was very politic heavy. I guess that I know a lot more bullshit because there's a lot of game related, a lot of VTuber related, a lot of internet related and stuff like that. But damn, there's a lot of politics that happen. Fuck me. Yeah. Have a good one.